This week, we are in upstate New York on a quest to catch a legendary salmon, and I'm currently hooked up! Woo! So this is our trophy, the king salmon. This baby was an incredible catch, but it took a long journey and a lot of help from people to get to this point.
We drove up to Pulaski, New York, which feeds right off Lake Ontario, and they're known for having a huge salmon run every fall, and we wanted to find out more about them and learn how to possibly catch one. So we called one of the biggest bait shops in the area, Fat Nancy's, and they told us to come on in.
So we're here at Fat Nancy's. They were really helpful, so let's go in and say hi. So when I first walked into Fat Nancy's, I was like overwhelmed just about. There were just so many different colors and different lures and such a wide variety of lures that I've never ever seen before because I've never done salmon fishing before. This is the face of sheer joy. Like a little kid in a candy store.
This is Fat Nancy?
I don't know. It says Fat Nancy right there. Now, do you think this is real? That's another question.
So we met up with Mike, a local business owner and fisherman, to ask him more about the phenomenon we were about to get into.
We take it for granted that live here. You know, we've done this our whole lives. We don't realize.
So you were born here, raised here?
Born and raised.
So you were born on the salmon fishing?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Salmon fishing, you know, for a 6-week stretch pretty much supports the town of Pulaski for the year.
And that's what
Everything
I heard.
else is a bonus.
Honestly, this is very intimidating to me because I, for one, I've never even seen a salmon.
There's your main line, a leader, a barrel swivel, and then about 4 foot a leader. Once they get up into here and past, it's tough for them to be real aggressive to bite because their purpose here is not to eat, it's to spawn
and die.
You know, if you got time, what I would suggest to you, find your way to the hatchery. All our state records are in there. You'll see fish in the hatchery.
So we decided to take Mike up on that advice to go to the hatchery, but not before he set us up with all the fishing line, hooks, and bait we needed. He was a very big help, and we thank you, Mike.
So on our way to the hatchery, we realized that Pulaski is a fishing town. As we drove, we saw so many bait stores and $3 fillet signs and fishermen walking around in waders. We saw too many to count.
So we arrived at the hatchery, which sits right on top of the Salmon River, and we went in to find that the salmon were definitely running.
So we learned that this hatchery actually provides all of the salmon for the entire state of New York, and the fish return to this hatchery every year because they want to spawn here because they were actually born here. Basically, a salmon's only purpose in life is to spawn. And when it's done spawning, its body will actually decay while it's alive until it's dead. So to help with this spawning process, the hatchery raises the salmon from eggs, it lets them imprint on their waters, and then it releases them into the lake. And when the salmon are ready to spawn, they swim up the Salmon River, which is appropriately named, and basically get trapped in this hatchery. Once the salmon are in the hatchery, they're harvested for their eggs and sperm, and those are manually mixed and then incubated until they grow large enough to release, and then basically repeat the cycle.
So now we know where the salmon are coming from, but we're itching to get fishing. So we meet up with our local fishing guides, Chris, Ryan, and Justin. These guys were such a lively bunch and a key to our success, but they wanted us to meet them out at their spot. So we're here in Oswego. If you take a look down there, that's where we're going. This is really going to be a long journey to get there.
While we're walking up to meet with Chris, we realize that the legends we've heard about this place are definitely true in regards to that there are just so many fishermen here. There are more fishermen here than I've ever seen anywhere in my life. Also, while we're walking, we see a concerning amount of danger signs and warning signs that make me a little concerned about where these guys want us to meet them.
So, when we're crossing the river, it's against the law not to wear a life vest because there has been many deaths. People trying to cross and they end up drowning because the water is so crazy. Don't slip.
But the scenery is beautiful. There's a surprising amount of wildlife here, and the river is lovely, but we have to cross it.
Okay, it's time to cross the river. I'm kind of nervous, I'm kind of scared. It seems like the current is really fast because it's all being funneled through this dam. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited.
So now we've done some pretty crazy adventurous stuff before, but never anything like this, and we don't really know what to expect. We heard it's tough to cross the river, but our friends are on the other side and they promise us fish.
This is the fastest part of this entire dam, and the current is just so scary. Everyone here is hooking up on fish. You can already see it. We're very excited.
All right, ready to cross?
Yeah.
Okay, go. Okay, here's gonna be the tricky part. I need you to hold, you're gonna hold my hand.
Yeah.
Or I'd rather hold you.
By the scruff of my neck. Go ahead.
This is kind of scary because I'm afraid to lose all my camera gear. Got like $5,000 of gear in here.
You are recording, right?
Yeah, I'm recording, I think.
So at first it was okay, but then we got out into the middle and the current was so strong, it was really hard to keep your feet where you wanted them, and that was a very scary feeling. It was hard to keep balance and keep upright. But ultimately, we did it. We got to land, and I felt so accomplished. I felt like I had just gone on a journey.
That was scary. I can see my buddies Pablo and James already fishing. But first I want to talk to Chris and his buddy Ryan about his experience fishing for these salmon.
It's really impossible to ignore how many people are here. I've never seen this many people in my life trying to fish in the same place. But I see that people are catching salmon one after the other, and they're mainly using salmon eggs or skein as bait.
All of a sudden, our buddy Ryan is on a fish, and it's huge! Immediately, like, everyone just jumps into action. Other fishermen are just trying to get out of the way and get their lines in before this fish just tangles everything up. Then our friend Pablo hooks onto one with his fly rod. Pablo is also the one who invited us, so thanks, Pablo. And Chris, our guide, is in our fishing hole with the fish, trying to trap it into the net. And then all of a sudden, Justin hooks up. The thing is that, as often as people are hooking up on the fish are snapping the lines off. Next thing you know, I'm hooked onto my first salmon, and I'm slipping all over the place because it's so strong. The fish is just literally just jumping all over the place, going from one end to the other end of the hole. I'm thinking, I can't even control this fish. And this is basically how I felt after. But before I even have time to say anything, my friend James is also on his first fish, which he loses as well.
I think it's safe to say that by this point, Brendon is a little frustrated.
Today's just not my day.
But who wouldn't be?
That's like the sixth fish I've lost. Next week!
You guys are not gonna wanna miss this.
Our friends make sure that we all hook up on fish, and I land my first huge king salmon.
And after the catch, we eat some stuff that we're not exactly thrilled about eating.
Sorry to cut you guys off, but that's all the time we have for this week. Be sure to subscribe
And stay tuned.